Hello everyone, I am Left, and today it was either going to be an angry, ranting, political thing about some certain things in the Vainglory community, or it was going to be the Crystal Power Items Guide, and I decided that I did not want to piss off a lot of my subscribers, so it's going to be the Crystal Power Items Guide today. So we're going to be going through each Tier 3 item in the Crystal Power category and talking about their strengths and exactly what they do and when you should buy them. So without further ado, let's go from the top down and start with Shatterglass. Shatterglass is a very, very simple Crystal Power item, but it has a more nuanced purpose. It gives you a flat 150 Crystal Power on top of what you already had, and that's all it does. It costs 3,000 gold, and while you might think that this is always going to be the best CP item to buy first, you would only be right for a few different heroes. See, Shatterglass compared to the other items in the Crystal Power category does not give you a lot of shield pierce, or it does not give you a lot of follow-up damage or damage over time or things like that. Shatterglass is for the heroes that you want to be doing burst damage with. Not just I want to be bursting the enemies down, but you also have to have a mentality of my hero's kit is designed to do burst damage. For example, it's usually not a great idea to buy Shatterglass on Scarf first, because Scarf is usually supposed to be ramping up over a fight using Broken Myth, slowing enemies with Frostburn, etc. Shatterglass is a great item for 3 heroes. That would be Koshka, Taka, and Kestrel. Now, why would you want it on Koshka, Taka, and Kestrel? Because each of those heroes is either an assassin or a huge burst damage hero. Crystal Power Kestrel is all about burst damage, and Shatterglass is a great first item on her. Koshka, self-explanatory, burst assassin. Taka, same thing. You want to buy a Shatterglass to buff up your Xretsu, depending on the build that you're going. So, another hero that I actually want to point out that Shatterglass is pretty good on is Grace. You probably didn't see that coming because Grace is a support hero, but Shatterglass can be a really good last buy on Grace. For one, it puts your ultimate to over 1,000 healing, and 2, it makes holy shields on you and your teammate reduce damage by 45%. And also, with the passive of Grace's A ability, you take 45% less damage from all sources all the time. So Shatterglass, it's a pretty good item overall, but it's very simple and only has a few very consistent uses. Next, we're going to talk about Broken Myth. It is a tier 3 item that costs... Wait, no, that's not right. The cost is wrong on Vainglory Fire. It's actually 2,200, not 2,150. But its passive is to amplify all crystal damage by 4% for each second that you are in combat against enemy heroes. After 5 seconds, you will lose a stack each second, max 9 stacks. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. I don't think this is updated on Vainglory Fire. I am fairly sure right now that it is 5% and 6 stacks. So, somebody please check me on that because I can't open the game right now. But anyways, it's 70 crystal power and 10% passive shield pierce. Broken Myth, I mean, what can I say? It is a must-buy on nearly every Crystal Power hero. Exceptions being if you're going to go for a double Shatterglass Koshka build or a double Shatterglass Kestrel build that some pro players like to do, I know. But I honestly cannot think of a Crystal Power hero besides those specific builds that would not build Broken Myth. Let's see, Celeste, Scarf, Samuel, all build Broken Myth. Koshka situationally builds Broken Myth. Taka builds Broken Myth. I build Broken Myth on Kestrel. Yeah. I mean, as a rule of thumb, make sure you're buying a Broken Myth, because not having one versus having one when the enemies have shield is just such a huge difference. So, yeah, this is probably the most important item in the Crystal Power category, and whenever you see that the enemies have a lot of green items on their team, you're going to want to buy the Broken Myth. So, after checking in-game, Broken Myth is actually 4% 9 stacks, so my bad there on getting the stats wrong. Next, let's talk about Eve of Harvest. It's a tier 3 item that costs 2600 gold, and its passive is that your next 600 to 1200 damage, depending on level 1 to 12, points of crystal damage to the enemy heroes, has 25% lifesteal and recharges over 40 seconds. 10% crystal lifesteal base, 55 crystal power, 250 max energy, and 5 energy recharge. So basically, what Eve of Harvest does is, a lot of people don't understand this, so I'm going to try to explain it right now. So if you buy an Eve of Harvest at level 12, and you say you're playing Celeste, when you buy an Eve of Harvest at level 12, your next 1200 damage that you deal to heroes will heal you for 25% lifesteal. So 25% of the damage that you deal will be healed to you, but you only have 1200 of that damage to deal, and then you will only have the 10% base lifesteal. This recharges over 40 seconds, so if you hit like one enemy hero with a Heliogenesis and then don't get into a fight, over the next 40 seconds that will regenerate back to 1200 available damage. So Eve of Harvest is a very good crystal power item, and I recommend it on nearly any crystal power hero, besides maybe Kashka and Taka. Eve of Harvest, it synergizes very well with Samuel. If you are playing a lot of Samuel and you aren't building Eve of Harvest, you should start building Eve of Harvest, because his kit is built for massive sustain while in the Drifting Darkfield, and Eve of Harvest like doubles that. So yeah, you really want to be buying this on any sort of ranged mage, because when an assassin jumps on you and there's no support around, you can try to sustain yourself through Eve of Harvest and pull off a kill. So yeah, Eve of Harvest is very important because it is the only, actually I take that back, it is not the only lifesteal in the Crystal Power category, but it is the only consistent lifesteal in the Crystal Power category. So let's move on now to Clockwork. Clockwork amplifies all your Crystal Power by 30%, as well as giving you 40% cooldown speed, 250 max energy, and 7.5 energy recharge. So Clockwork, it's obviously like the best cooldown enhancing item in the game. It amplifies your current Crystal Power by 30%. So if you buy Clockwork by itself, you will not gain any Crystal Power. However, if you have a Shatterglass when you buy Clockwork, 30% of that 150 Crystal Power will be added on just because you bought the Clockwork. So Clockwork, it doesn't really have a huge place with a lot of Crystal Power heroes. It's very good on Crystal Power Gwen because it reduces her buckshot skill to like a 3-second cooldown. It's very good on some roamers like Catherine. Actually, it's only good on Catherine. Oh well. But Clockwork is not an item that you always want to be buying. There is a Vox build for Crystal Power that I like to use, Clockwork, Aftershock, Broken Myth, which lets you like Sonic Zoom every like 3 seconds, and that's really useful for playing Crystal Power Vox. So Clockwork, it fills a niche, but there's not really any meta use for it right now. So I accidentally skipped Frostburn, so we're going to do that right now. Its passive is that dealing crystal damage to enemy heroes will slow them for 1.5 seconds. The target cannot be affected by Frostburn again for 2 seconds thereafter. It slows by 10% plus 1% per 10 crystal power, max 35% slow. So this also gives you 100 crystal power, and it's generally just great on heroes that you don't want to be like having enemies run away on, Scarf, Celeste, Samuel, mages, stuff like that. So generally Frostburn is the reason why Shatterglass is not used on mages too much, and there's good reason. For a lot of mages, it's easy for enemies to escape just by dodging the shots, and Frostburn makes it that much easier to dodge the shots. So let me list off a few heroes that I don't think Frostburn is good on for Crystal Power. You have Taka. I don't really like it on Kestrel very much. I don't really like it on Gwen for Crystal Power or Vox. But I mean, if you are a ranged mage who has like basic attacks that don't really do anything, like Scarf or Celeste, Frostburn is a really good first item. Echo is the next item, and it's an activatable item in the Crystal Power category, which is actually the only one in the Crystal Power category. The last ability to be put on cooldown is instantly refreshed, plus 115% of the ability's cooldown, plus 25-second cooldown on the activatable. So for stats, it gives you 300 max energy and 4 energy recharge. So Echo is, I'm gonna be honest here, it's only viable on one hero. Like, there is only one hero in the game with which you could actually build Echo in a ranked match, and that's gonna be Catherine. There's really no other skill in the game that you get so much value out of echoing other than Blast Tremor. So if you're playing Catherine, and I always build a Void Battery on Catherine anyways, so Echo was a pretty cool item to add for me because, you know, you get 2 Blast Tremors and you also get energy. So that's just like a win-win-win for me when I'm playing Catherine, because I hate trying to manage her energy without any energy items. So yeah, Echo, literally only viable on Catherine, and she's a support. So I don't even know why it's in the Crystal Power category, to be honest, but yeah, buy Echo on Catherine, forget it on everything else. Second to last is going to be Aftershock. After using an ability, your next basic attack deals 15% of your target's max health as damage with a 50% lifesteal. Max 400 damage versus non-heroes, and a 1.5 second cooldown between activations. 25% cooldown speed, 2.5 energy recharge, and 35 crystal power. So Aftershock is amazing against enemies that have high health. It's also very good on heroes that have perks that concern their basic attacks, like, let's see, like Taka. Having an Aftershock proc right after you hit X-Retsu is a godsend. So also Aftershock, it let me see here. It will activate on anything that counts as a basic attack. Like, if you have Aftershock ready and you're playing Blackfeather and you Rose Offensive through 2 heroes, both of those heroes will feel Aftershock procs. Or Kestrel's Glimmer Shot can proc Aftershock if Kestrel has Aftershock, and things like that. So it's very, very synergistic with basic attacks like Koshka's Empowered, Twirly Death attacks, and stuff like that. Taka's Mortal Strikes, really anything. Samuel's Corrupted Genius, but honestly, don't build Aftershock on Samuel. So Aftershock, you don't really want to be building this on your backline mages like Celeste, Scarf, and Samuel, but you can definitely be building this on your, like, I don't know, like your Kestrel, your Koshka, your Taka, your burst type heroes. You can even build it on Crystal Vox if you want, but really no one plays Crystal Vox anymore, so that sucks. You can build this on Utility Glaive. You can build it on, I don't know, you can even build it on supports. It synergizes with Merciless Pursuit and Blood for Blood and things like that. So Aftershock is pretty good. I don't know, it's just a good, all-around good item. Its percentage health damage is absolutely insane against enemies with high health. Aftershock does a lot more damage if you're hitting like a Finn that has a Crucible instead of a Petal that has no health. So you always gotta remember to be going for the targets that have high health with Aftershock, because it will give you that much more lifesteal when it comes back to you. Lastly, we have Aftershock, and Aftershock's stats are that every other basic attack deals 70% of your crystal power as bonus damage. It gives you 60 crystal power and 35% attack speed. So this is really just for, I don't know, it's really just for if you are playing a hero that still is going to be basic attacking a lot when you're a crystal power hero. Very useful on Crystal Power Adagio, very useful on Crystal Power Vox. Can be used on Crystal Blackfeather, but I don't really see that a lot in the pro leagues. Yeah, Alternating Current really isn't seeing a lot of use right now, just because of the nature of the meta and how Crystal Power heroes are really being used. If you haven't been watching any Vainglory 8 recently, the Crystal Power mages have fallen out of favor big time, except for Samuel. And this is because of the meta of Weapon Power Hyper Carry plus Stormcrown Aftershock Jungler, and I really hate it, but it's what's going on. So Alternating Current, I mean if you're playing Crystal Vox or you're playing Crystal Adagio, yeah, this is a good first pickup, but really any other Crystal Power hero, you're going to be better off picking something else. So that's going to be it for this video, you guys. I hope you all enjoyed it and learned something useful. I'll see you all next time.